Good evening, everybody. This is Claude Sullivan speaking from the Jefferson County Armory in Louisville. Tonight, basketball fans, the U of K Wildcats take on the University of Georgia here in Louisville. So that you may follow the fortunes of the Wildcats on your radio, Standard Oil Company and Standard Oil dealers throughout Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi are bringing you this game and all of U of K's games at home and away, the Standard Oil Network. Well, tonight, basketball experts await the verdict. How will the Kentucky Wildcats come back from one of the most humiliating defeats ever suffered by a University of Kentucky team? We expect Coach Adolph Rupp to make some changes in his starting lineup. After the game with Alabama, he said he was now ready to give his sophomores experience, that he would not lose again with seniors. Vernon Hatton has been the only sophomore in the lineup, but tonight we expect to see another one join him for the opening tip. So far, Saturday has been the black day in basketball for Kentucky. Of 5 losses, only the 15-point defeat by Dayton came on a day other than Saturday. It was Wednesday, to be exact. The other losses to Temple, Vanderbilt, DePaul, and Alabama have been inflicted on Saturdays. Well, that would seem to release the Wildcats for a good performance tonight. It has been over 2 years since a Kentucky basketball team played here at the Armory. Back on February 2nd of 1954, the Wildcats defeated Georgia Tech here 99-48. Not since the 1949-50 season has a Kentucky team lost 5 games in one season, and that 5th loss then was the granddaddy of them all, 89-50 by CCNY. Not since the 1941-42 season has a Kentucky basketball team been defeated 6 times in one season. Ironically, in that season of 6 defeats, one of them was to Alabama. And in that 1941-42 season also, Kentucky lost 2 in a row, a very rare happening. The Wildcats have lost 2 of their last 3 games, but sandwiched in between was their best game of the season against Vanderbilt. Georgia and Kentucky have played basketball against each other since 1921, when Kentucky beat them in the championship game of the old SIAA tournament down in Atlanta by 20-19. Down through the years, the Wildcats and the Bulldogs have played 29 games, with Kentucky winning 23. This has been one of the worst seasons in Georgia basketball. The Bulldogs right now are at the bottom of the conference ladder with a record of 1 win and 12 defeats, but have nonetheless played some of the top boys close games. Georgia beat Florida by 20 points, while Kentucky won by only 11. Auburn, a team Kentucky beat by only 1 point, was able to whip the Bulldogs by only a single point. That Georgia victory over the Gators has been their only conference win. The game with Kentucky tonight is a home game for Georgia. Although the Wildcats tonight are in their home white uniforms, the Bulldogs tonight are playing in their red, which is customarily a home uniform for the Bulldogs. Elsewhere in the conference tonight, Alabama is at home to meet Tennessee, and even if the Vols could pull an upset, the Crimson Tide would remain atop the SEC standings. Vanderbilt, which is again tied with Kentucky for second place in the lost column, is playing in Auburn, and the game with the Plainsmen tonight closes the Vanderbilt season. If the Commodores win, they lock second place, and Kentucky must beat Georgia tonight and Tennessee Saturday to get back into a tie with Vanderbilt. By the way, the last Georgia win over Kentucky came in Athens in 1950, when the Bulldogs beat Kentucky 71-60, when Bill Spivey was a sophomore. Last season at the Coliseum in Lexington, Kentucky drubbed Georgia 86-40, the fewest points scored against the Wildcats by an opponent last year. Well, many of those close to the Kentucky basketball scene feel tonight will determine much toward the bid to the NCAA tournament. If the Wildcats bounce back with an impressive performance tonight, it will demonstrate that they want the chance. For Kentucky to get the bid, Alabama would have to step aside, and something would have to be done to decide between Kentucky and Vanderbilt. So that NCAA bid is still a protracted thing. Right now, it belongs first to Alabama and then Vanderbilt. But the Wildcats have a chance of moving back into the picture. Well, both teams are off the floor right now. Tip-off time is nearing. So let's check the starting lineups. The Georgia coach, Red Lawson, who's now in his 5th season, has given us this as his starting lineup. He incidentally has been crippled by the flu bug, so to speak. He has his 5 starters and only 3 reserves left. He's starting at guards tonight, Ray Allen, and his captain, Morris Denwitty. Allen is a 19-year-old sophomore from Augusta, Georgia. He stands 6'2", weighs 170. And his captain is a Kentucky boy. He's from Scottsville, Morris Dinwiddie, 20-year-old senior. He was high point man in Lexington last year with 10 points. Dinwiddie is 5'10", weighs 170. In the pivot tonight is Henry Cabanis, 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 who is a 19-year-old sophomore from Maxey's, Georgia. Cabanis is 6'5", weighs 188. The Georgia forwards will be George Bell and Curtis Gleaton. Bell, who had 2 points against Kentucky last season, is a 21-year-old senior from Cuthbert, Georgia. He's 6'3" and weighs 185. And the other forward is a 21-year-old junior college transfer, Curtis Gleaton, who very nearly came to the University of Kentucky. He is 6'4", weighs 205. He's a junior at Georgia now. The name is Gleaton, Curtis Gleaton. Georgia has won 3, losing 18 this season. And in the conference, as we said, they have 1 victory over Florida and 12 defeats. They have, after tonight, only 1 game remaining in the conference, and that will be against the Gators. Well, Coach Adolph Rupp tonight apparently is going to leave his guards, as was Jerry Calvert and Vernon Hatton. Calvert is the junior from Maysville. He's 20 years old, stands 5'11", and weighs 160. His big night in scoring this season was in Knoxville when he got 24 against Tennessee. So far this season, he scored 258 points, an average of 11.7 a game, and ranks number 4 in the scoring column. Against Georgia last year, he got 1 point. The other guard, Vernon Hatton, of course, did not appear against the Bulldogs last season. He's only a sophomore, 20 years old. He's from Lexington. His high school basketball was done at Lafayette. Hatton is 6'3", weighs 180. He's the number 3 man in scoring with an average of 13.9 a game, a total of 306. His big night was in Chicago against DePaul when he hit for 32 points. In the pivot tonight, unchanged there, Bob Burrow, 21-year-old senior from Wells, Texas, who led the Wildcats against Georgia last year with 16 points. Burrow is the heaviest of the Cats at 220, stands 6'7". He is the number 1 scorer with 433 points, an average of 20.6 a game. His big night was in Lexington against Louisiana State when he scored 50. The forwards will be Jerry Bird and Phil Johnson, we expect. Bird is a 22-year-old senior from Corbin who stands 6'6" and weighs 210. He poured in 14 against Georgia last season. This season, he's number 2 in scoring with 349 points, an average of 15.8 a game. His big night was against Dayton at the Coliseum when he scored 34. And we expect to see at the other forward, replacing the captain, Phil Gromeyer, a 19-year-old sophomore from Lexington, Phil Johnson, who played at the University of Kentucky Training School. He is 6'6" and weighs 210. Johnson is the number 9 man in scoring with 32 points, averaging 2.5 a game. But his big night was Saturday in Montgomery when he scored 8 points in that reserve role. And that performance in Montgomery has apparently earned him a starting assignment. Statistically, it is interesting to note that the best shooter for Kentucky has been Vernon Hatton. He's had 213 tries from the field, and he's hit better than half of them. He's shooting an amazing .503. And on the free throw line, among the regulars, he's the best, having hit 92 of 135 for a shooting percentage of .682. Of course, the big guy is Bill Cassidy. He hasn't missed one in 18 tries. Bob Burrow leads in virtually every other department save that of personal fouls. Jerry Calvert has committed more than anyone else, 69. That's 5 more than Gromeyer and 7 more than Vernon Hatton. Here's Georgia coming back on the floor in the red uniforms, black numerals trimmed in white. While we wait the return of the Kentucky Wildcats, did you ever notice the pistons on a big steam locomotive? They're always bright and sparkling clean. Well, they have to be, otherwise there would be a heavy loss of power. The same goes for the moving parts in your automobile engine. If carbon collects even in small quantities on pistons or cylinder walls, you soon begin to lose real power. Mobil Oil Special and Uniflow motor oils stop that kind of power loss before it can begin with special detergents that stay on the job constantly, cleaning your engine as you drive. Carbon never gets a chance to collect. Keep your car performing at full power. See your standard oil dealer for a change to Mobil Oil Special or Uniflow motor oil tomorrow. Well, one time this season, Coach Adolph Rupp changed his starting lineup by dropping the captain from the starting lineup, Phil Gromeyer, And that proved to be perhaps Kentucky's finest game of the season when they defeated the Billikens by a top-heavy margin in St. Louis. That night, however, it was Ray Mills who started at that forward position. Kentucky still has not returned to the floor, so let's just go back and look at these starting lineups that Adolph Rupp has used so far this season. At Louisiana State with Calvert, he had Johnny Brewer at a guard. His forwards were the same, and his pivot. In the next game against Temple, Rupp had already moved Hatton into the starting position as Brewer went to the reserve list. And the rest of the starting lineup remained the same in that game. When the Wildcats played DePaul for the first time in Lexington on December 12th, Ray Mills came back to start at a forward in place of Jerry Bird, as Bird was dropped from the starting lineup after 2 games. By the time the Maryland game came around, though, Bird had returned to the starting lineup, and the starting lineup against Maryland on December 15th was the same as it was Saturday night against Alabama. And the lineup remained constant through the Idaho game, and when the Wildcats played Minnesota, the same starting lineup was intact. But, of course, when the Wildcats got to Dayton, there had been a forced change. Ed Beck started at center in the place of the injured Bob Burrow. Then, against St. Louis, Adolph Rupp made his switch, bringing Ray Mills to a forward. He scored 4 points that night, and Grohmeyer was able to come right back into his starting role in Kentucky's next game with Georgia Tech and picked up 8 points. Right now, Morris Dinwiddie, the captain of Georgia, is meeting with tonight's acting captain of Kentucky, Bob Burrow, and Coach Rupp has, in that dressing room, changed his mind, as he indicated to us today that perhaps he would. And that is, in the change he's made, he is not starting Phil Johnson, but is bringing up Johnny Brewer. Johnny Brewer will be starting at that other forward tonight. Brewer starting in place of Phil Johnson as we gave it. So there will still be only one sophomore in the lineup. Brewer is a 20-year-old junior. He is from just outside Louisville at Anchorage and played his high school basketball at Eastern out at Middletown. He stands 6'3", weighs 184. He is the number 7 man in scoring with 50 points, an average of 2.5 points a game this season. Brewer was in the starting lineup when Kentucky opened the season against Louisiana State at Baton Rouge. However, at the other guard, he was at a guard with Jerry Calvert. So this is not the lineup exactly that started the season. Hatton is new to this starting lineup compared to the starters that saw action in the opening game at Baton Rouge. The starters for both teams remain on the floor, taking warm-up shots, and Kentucky starters now with the correction of Johnny Brewer is correct. Brewer will be at a forward position with Jerry Bird as Bob Burrow takes the pivot, and Jerry Calvert and Vernon Hatton remain at the guard positions. Right now, we're having the individual introduction for what is actually the visiting team, Kentucky, as Jerry Calvert is introduced. Now, here's the introduction for Jerry Bird, as they are introducing the players numerically and not by position. Vernon Hatton draws the nomination, which means Bob Burrow will be next out. Now await the individual introduction of Johnny Brewer. On the Kentucky bench tonight in reserve, we have Lincoln Collinsworth of Salyersville, Harold Ross of Hickman, Ed Beck of Fort Valley, Georgia, Phil Johnson of Lexington, Phil Grohmeyer of Louisville, John Krigler of Hebron, Bill Cassidy of Inez, Ray Mills of Clay County, and Bill Smith of Walton. Morris Dinwiddie is introduced as a Kentucky boy from Scottsville, captain of Georgia. Now introduced is Cabanis, the sophomore center. George Bell, the senior forward, draws his introduction. He's 6'3". Curtis Gleaton moves out to be acknowledged by the crowd. Ray Allen is the final Bulldog to be introduced, and the coach Red Lawson being introduced to the fans here at the Armory in Louisville as we now near tip-off time. Now, before the game gets underway, here's our national anthem. Now, with tip-off time here, let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
Radio station WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky.
From the Armory in Louisville, Kentucky plays Georgia. The Bulldogs from Athens, Georgia are on the floor, and here are the Wildcats from Kentucky. Bob Burrow into jump center will have 2 inches height advantage on 6'5" Henry Cabanis. Clyde Castle, George Conley, the officials, and Clyde Castle at the moment is checking with the captains, Dinwiddie and Burrow, to make sure everything is ready. It is, and the tap goes to Johnny Brewer, who gives to Hatton, breaking down the right side. Near the corner, pulls up, feeds out to Brewer. Here goes the shot. It's short. He rebounds, lays it up and in. Johnny Brewer scores, following up his own shot, 10 feet off to the right side, and Kentucky leads 2-0 after 15 seconds. Up in front court is Allen of Georgia, gives over to Gleaton and takes a return pass, and gives to Dinwiddie, breaking down the right side. Bird picks up. He can't shoot at the baseline. Hooks an outside pass, and Gleaton whips a two-handed pass into the pivot that is dropped by Cabanis, picked up by Burrow, fed to Johnny Brewer, in front court to Calvert, breaking to the right. Cut off, he gives back to Brewer and over to Hatton. Cuts into the middle. A 15-foot jump shot is blocked by Allen. A fight for it. Burrow's got it. A one-bounce dribble. A whistle from the baseline. And a foul goes against Georgia. Personal foul against Curtis Gleaton. Gleaton's first foul of the game. Sends Bob Burrow to the stripe for Kentucky. Burrow shooting one, has Hatton in behind him in safety. Calvert to his right. He hit it. And Kentucky leads 3-0. Now Burrow takes the bonus shot. Dinwiddie and Allen, the Georgia guards, are wide. Bird has the right-handed rebounding position as Burrow's bonus shot's good. It's Kentucky 4, Georgia 0. The Bulldogs come to the attack. They haven't had a shot yet. Ray Allen moves past the 10-second stripe with it, cuts to his right, flips over to Gleaton. One bounce dribble, and he gives to Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie moves down the right side with Calvert on him to the corner. He wears a leather brace on his right wrist, gives to Gleaton, who comes into the corner behind him, and Calvert picks him up. He gets out on the side to George Bell, who moves out and flips to Dinwiddie. Sets, got Bird on him now. Kentucky switches off. Calvert takes him, and he pumps one up that's in and out. Knocked to the outside. Hatton goes forward, but Gleaton gets it for Georgia. He goes out front to Allen. Moves down the left side. Hatton with him. Picks him up in the corner and stops him. Into the pivot. It's knocked away from Cabanis by Burrow. Fed to Calvert. Back to Burrow to Calvert. He lays it up. It's no good. Tapped up, no good by Bird, and taken off by Dinwiddie of Georgia. The little guy at 5'10", the smallest of them all tonight. Drives up in front court to the right side. Hooks a pass to Bell. One-hander. Good. George Bell out of the right corner gets Georgia's first point after a minute and a half. Kentucky leads 4-2. Each team has one field goal. Bird on the left side. Hooks to Burrow. Comes out into the 3-second zone. Hooks up, no good. Calvert taps, no good. Comes off, ball out of bounds. Goes to Kentucky, opposite George Bell of Georgia. Down in the right corner, Calvert will put it in play at the baseline and moves away, and Hatton moves in. Hatton slaps the ball, bounce pass to Bird, and moves out, feeds Burrow. Free throw line jump shot. It's good. Bob Burrow gets his first field goal. He's the leading scorer in the game now with 4 points as Kentucky leads for the second time by 4. Up in front court is Allen, moving down the left side. 20-foot jump shot. Good. Ray Allen, sophomore from Augusta, Georgia, gets his first field goal, and it's 6-4 as the teams bang away on even terms here in the early going. Calvert down the right side to Brewer, out to Hatton, breaks down the right side. Bell knocks the ball away from him and out of bounds to Kentucky on the right side of the offensive court. Hatton stands down deep within about 10 feet of the baseline and feeds out front to Calvert. Right back to Hatton on the right side. fakes left, comes right, goes in, under, shot back, no good, but he's fouled on the play by George Bell of Georgia. It's the first foul on Bell, second foul of the game. Vernon Hatton of Kentucky goes to the free throw line, puts the left foot up on the line. He has 2 tries coming. First half, 17 minutes, 33 seconds to play. Here's Hatton's first shot. It's good. Hatton is the third Wildcat to score, and Kentucky leads 7-4. Calvert's in behind him in safety, about 10 feet. Hatton sights, up in between the knees with a two-hander that's short. Burrow has the rebound knocked away, picked up by Bird, who lays it in. And Bird becomes the fourth Wildcat to score as Kentucky takes the longest lead of the game, 9-4. Up in front court for the Bulldogs is Allen, moving to the right, down the side with Calvert on him to the baseline. Quick jump shot's good. Fine play by Allen, who picks up his second field goal. And Georgia and Kentucky each have 3 field goals. Kentucky has a 3-point advantage, though, at the free throw line. Here's Burrow being fed by Hatton. Flips out on the front door to Calvert after he can't get a shot. Back into Burrow. Bird goes by. Burrow left loosely, breaks into the 3-second zone, takes a jump shot. Good. Bob Burrow gets his second field goal. He's the leading scorer in the game now. Kentucky has its second 5-point advantage. 11-6 right now. Dinwiddie to Allen, who moves down the left side for Georgia with Hatton on him under the basket, and Hatton pushes. The foul is the first one against Kentucky. It's on 6'3" Vernon Hatton, who laid his back a little bit too much into Ray Allen of Georgia. And the guy who has 2 of 3 Bulldog field goals is on the line for 1 shot. 16 minutes, 42 seconds in the first half here at the Armory. Allen, feet right together, shoots. It's in and around, no good. Rebounding Gleaton, knocked down by Brewer, picked up by Gleaton. He can't hold it, and it's out of bounds to Georgia. Cabanis will put it in play for the Bulldogs. Gets his man in the left corner and feeds, and Gleaton shoots. Good. Curtis Gleaton of the Bulldogs out of the deep left corner makes it 11-8. And each team has 4 field goals now as Hatton comes in front court, fakes to Burrow, gives over to Calvert down the right side to Brewer. Brewer takes a 20-foot jump shot with no rebounding strength, and it's no good. It's taken off by Gleaton of Georgia. Fired up the way to Cabanis, to Dinwiddie. Almost past the 10-second stripe for Georgia. Angling to the right and giving to Gleaton. Straight away, he whips one in there to Cabanis in the pivot. Spins to his left, doesn't try to shoot, gives out to Allen. Here's the jump shot, no good this trip. Rebounding Calvert has it knocked down, fights for it, gets it, and holds on. High, two-handed pass to Bird in front court on the right side. He sets, and the shot, good. Bird's second field goal. Kentucky 13, Georgia 8. Third time Kentucky's had a 5-point advantage. Ray Allen moving to the left for Georgia in front court, feeds back to his right to Dinwiddie. The Georgia captain, who's actually alternate captain, kicks the ball out of bounds and is called for palming it before he kicked it. The ball goes out of play and the clock stops with 15 minutes, 34 seconds in the first half. Now Calvert flips into Hatton, and we're back to play. Hatton breaks into a trot, moving up the back court. The Kentucky cheerleaders on the far side yell him along as he feeds Bird. Fake to go. Pulled up, hooks to Burrow in the pivot, and the hook shot's no good. Bird taps it in beautifully. Jerry Bird gets his 6th point, and it is 15-8. Longest lead of the game for Kentucky. Here's a bounce pass to Cabanis in the pivot. Gives out to Gleaton, and a 15-foot jump shot is short. Knocking it down to Calvert. Can't hold on to it. Burrow picks it up, a 1-bounce dribble, and over to Johnny Brewer. 3-on-3 as Hatton goes in. The shot good. Fine play by Hatton for his first field goal and 3rd point. Kentucky leads 17-8. We're into the last 15 minutes of the first half now, with Allen in front court for Georgia, cutting to the right. Calvert picking up. Now Bird picking up as he goes all the way to the corner. Hooks to Cabanis, who loses Burrow and goes in wide open. Henry Cabanis gets the first field goal for Georgia, and it is 17-10. Kentucky's in front. Calvert in front court, pulls up, bounce pass to Burrow in the pivot. Fakes to Hatton, gives to him, and lays it in good, but it's nullified by walking. Georgia takes it off the side of the back court. Allen gets it in play to Dinwiddie. Moves up past the 10-second stripe, trailing now by 7 points after 5.5 minutes of play. Down the left side to Gleaton, who moves out. Brewer almost tied him up to George Bell, rather, who takes a jump shot, no good. And as the rebound is taken by Cabanis, he is pushed by Burrow. Burrow commits his first personal foul of the game, and each team now has committed 2. Georgia is taking time. It's the first time out in the game. With the score, Kentucky 17, Georgia 10. The Wildcats have had the lead throughout, although Georgia has banged away here on even terms with them. Kentucky has picked up 7 field goals, and the Bulldogs have 5. But Georgia has not scored a free throw, while Kentucky has hit 3 out of 4. Well, the season ends, regular season at least, on Saturday night of this week, when it's the annual battle at Lexington between Kentucky and Tennessee. The game will be heard over these same stations at 7:45 Central Standard Time. The scoring so far for Kentucky: Bird has 6 points, Burrow has 6, Hatton has 3, Brewer has 2. Calvert is scoreless. For Georgia, Allen has 4, Cabinus has 2, Bell 2, Gleaton 2, and Dinwiddie is scoreless. As we go back to play, Georgia is at the free throw line. Shooting is Henry Cabinus. The Bulldogs have had only one try, that by Ray Allen, and it was unsuccessful. There are 14 minutes and 21 seconds in the first half here at Louisville, as the right-hander Cabinus shoots and hits. It's his third point. Cuts the Kentucky lead, which was 17-8, down to 17-11 is the margin. Georgia has 2 safety men as the bonus shot is missed. Rebounded, fired up no good by Bell. Burrow tapped it off of the rim, and they're calling it goaltending. So the field goal by Bell is being awarded and makes the score 17-13. 17-13 now as Kentucky, that trip, lost 3 points. Here's Calvert in front court, faking to Burrow, then to Hatton, out to Brewer. Jump shot, no good from 20 feet. Taken off by Hatton, who lays it up, no good. Burrow taps, no good. Bird rebounds, dropped on the floor. It's kicked out of bounds. Goes to Georgia. Here's Dinwiddie back in front court now for the Bulldogs. Bounce pass down the right side, and moving out on a one-bounce dribble is Gleaton, right back to Dinwiddie. He hooks a pass to Ray Allen, moving to his left, coming back to his right, giving to Dinwiddie and taking a return pass. Fakes down the left side, gives over to Dinwiddie. Down to Gleaton, who breaks to the left. Bird on him closely, pulls him up. Outside to Allen, close guarding, but Calvert makes him lose a bounce in the dribble. He picks it up, goes on Hatton to the baseline, shoots, good. Ray Allen has 3 field goals for Georgia, and it's 17-15 as the Bulldogs rattle off 7 straight points. Here's Bird on the left side with a set shot that's no good. Burrow taps it up, no good. Bird taps, no good, and it's rebounded by Georgia's Curtis Gleaton. Now the Bulldogs have a chance to tie it up. Up in front court's Dinwiddie, over to Ray Allen, fakes left, comes right, by Hatton, shoots, no good. Tapped up on the boards by Gleaton, no good. Taken by Bird, fed to Hatton, up the way to Calvert. Wildcats breaking 3-on-3. Brewer had it wide open and walked with it as he juggled the pass. So Georgia takes over for the second time with a chance to tie up a 17-15 game. We're into the last 13 minutes of the first half. This ball club has won 1 Southeastern Conference game this season. On the left side, here is a fake and a drive by Bell, and he's called for charging. Bell committing his second foul of the game as he charged into Johnny Brewer. 12 minutes and 39 seconds in the first half. So Johnny Brewer is on the free throw line for the first time. Kentucky as a team has hit 3 out of 4. Calvert and Hatton are in safety just off the top rim of the circle. It is Burrow in the right-handed rebounding position as he misses. Bird taps, no good. Burrow shoots and hits. Bob Burrow is now the leading scorer in the game as Kentucky leads 19-15. We got 12 and a half minutes to go. Ray Allen comes past the dividing line for Georgia. Cuts to his left, gives to Dinwiddie, moving to the right. Comes by Hatton. Bird picks him up. Hooks a pass out to Gleaton. Gleaton moves to the right. Bird picks up on him, and he feeds Cabinus in the pivot. Spins to his left, falls away from Burrow, and shoots, no good. Bell taps, no good. Burrow rebounds for Kentucky. Double-teamed, he dribbles out of the situation and feeds Calvert. Moves quickly into front court, down the middle, gives to Burrow, wide open, lays it in, driving down the middle. Burrow gets his 4th field goal to give Kentucky a lead of 21-15. 12 minutes in the first half as Allen moves in front court for Georgia. Moves to his left and on the crisscross keeps coming inside Dinwiddie, and Calvert takes the ball away from him. Two-handed pass whipped to Bird at the dividing line, and moving down the left side, he watches Burrow move in under, gives to Calvert. 15-footer, no good. Burrow taps, it's good. Bob Burrow has reeled off 3 quick field goals after Georgia had moved to within 2 at 17-15. It right now stands 23-15. High pass goes to Cabinus. Calvert takes it away in close quarters from Dinwiddie. 5-1 in front court to Bird, moving down the left side. 15-foot jump shot, it's good. Jerry Bird's 4th field goal, timeout, Georgia. Well, we've seen Kentucky pull an explosion here early in this first half as we have 11 minutes and 22 seconds yet to play. Kentucky moved out on top by a margin of 17-8. Then the Bulldogs rattled those 7 points through the ropes and cut her to 2, and twice had an opportunity to tie it up at 17 all. The Wildcats withstood the shot, and we've just had a crash down at the press table, and a gentleman just went out in the aisle as his chair collapsed. Pretty big fellow, too. Well, when Georgia twice failed to tie her up at 17 all, Burrow hit 3 straight field goals, and then Bird to make the margin 10 points at 25-15. And as we get ready to go back to play now, there will be no change in the Kentucky lineup. Georgia will have the ball under the Kentucky basket. Don't forget to join us Saturday night over these same stations, 7:45, when Kentucky plays Tennessee at the Coliseum in Lexington. Broadcast time, 7:45 Central Standard Time. Ray Allen moves out of bounds under the Kentucky basket to put it in play for Georgia. They've called both times out of the game so far. Dinwiddie gets the bounce pass, feeds back to Allen. Back on the bounce to Dinwiddie at the dividing line. Moves down the right side with Calvert on him, coming through the shallow screen. Pass through the pivot, a bad one, picked up by Brewer on the right side. He's got a 3-1 break. Over to Calvert, who lays it in, driving. He's fouled on the play by Allen of Georgia. The goal counts. First foul on Allen in the ball game, and the fourth against the Bulldogs, in a fine breaking situation by Jerry Calvert. All 5 of the Wildcats have scored now, as Calvert has a chance for a 3-point trip. 11 minutes and 9 seconds to play in the first half. Kentucky right now has a lead of 12 points, their longest of the game, and Calvert's free throw is good to make it 28-15. So Kentucky has reeled off 11 points in a row without Georgia scoring after they had a lead of only 2 points. Allen down the left side, gives, and moving out, walking is called against George Bell as he came off that right side for the pivot. Brewer, high pass to Bird, knocked out of bounds. Last man to touch it was Curtis Gleaton. Kentucky has the ball. It's out of stop with 10 minutes and 54 seconds. It went out the back door, I think. Kentucky 28, Georgia 15 is the score. What day is that, Shive? March 6th?
No, it's later than that. You see, we have a weekend in there, or rather, any team will have a weekend end in there before they have to play at Iowa City.
It'd be March the 10th. Which
That's
would
right.
be conflicting with the regional
That's
tournaments
right.
in
That's
the
right.
state.
That's right.
Well, Shive, I think that pretty well clears it up as far as we can clear it up without the scores of some games that haven't come in yet. But one thing I wanted to ask you about was to clear me up on something there when Calvert was shooting a free throw and Burrow tapped it in off the ring and they nullified everything and gave it out of bounds to Georgia.
Apparently, we jumped in the free throw lane too soon. I would say that. I don't know. I didn't see the play call and don't know what they called.
I didn't see it either, so I...
Well, you and I are just alike.
Well, Chive, we have Kentucky here with 32 field goals on 56 shots, 57.1%. Isn't that pretty good shooting?
That's why we shot against St. Louis, I believe, in that neighborhood.
Chive, I believe it was a little higher than that, wasn't it?
Not the whole game. It was 40.
No, I mean just in the first half.
I don't remember, Claude, what it was at the half.
I may be wrong. I was thinking it was 64%.
Probably you're right.
Well, Shive, thank you very, very much for stopping by and being with us. We certainly do appreciate it. You don't have any explanation for what happened in Montgomery, do you?
Well, we played, first of all, we played a fine ball club. Alabama has an excellent team. That's number one. Number two, we didn't play up to what we're capable of playing. I think that's the whole explanation.
Do you think the play of Alabama had anything to do with our play? Do you
Certainly.
think their play affected us?
I think so.
Do you think the crowd affected the team?
Well, the way I feel, Claude, the home floor, or rather the home crowd in this case, on the neutral floor, and I think when a visiting team comes to our school, I think that home floor means 15 points.
There's nothing as nice as having 10,000 people dying to see you do a good job, is there?
That's right.
Shive, thank you very, very much. Certainly do appreciate it. The athletic director at the University of Kentucky, Bernie Shively. Here are those first half shooting percentages. As we said, Kentucky had 32 field goals on 56 shots. Shooting percentage 57.1. Georgia has 13 field goals on 39 shots. They're hitting 1/3. 33-3 is the shooting percentage for the Bulldogs, and coming back to the floor, Kentucky. Cassidy is okay as he comes back on at full pace. Getting a handshake from a friend as he checks in, apparently okay from what looked like might have been an injury to his left knee as he left the playing floor and went to the dressing room. Checking over those individual scores for you, Calvert has 8 points, 6 field goals, and 2 out of 5 free throws. Jerry Bird had a phenomenal night. Bird has 10 field goals and 2 out of 3 on the free throw line. Harold Ross has 2 points and a field goal. Ed Beck has 4 points on 2 field goals. He missed 1 free throw. Vernon Hatton has 6 points, 2 field goals, and 2 out of 3 at the free throw line. Phil Gromeyer, 4 points on 2 field goals. Bill Cassidy, 4 points on 2 field goals. Johnny Brewer, 4 points on 2 field goals, and he missed his only free throw try. Bob Burrow has 8 field goals and 5 out of 6 free throws for 21 points. For Georgia, Ray Allen has 8 points on 4 field goals. He missed his only free throw. Don Hartsfield has 4 points on 2 field goals. He missed his only free throw try. The captain, Morris Dinwiddie, has 1 field goal and 1 out of 3 at the free throw line for 3 points. The leading scorer is Henry Cabanis with 11 points, 3 field goals, and 5 out of 7 free throws. George Bell has 4 points on 2 field goals. Curtis Gleaton has 2 points on a field goal. He missed his only free throw try. Elliot Hester has been in the lineup for Georgia, but hasn't scored. And Lincoln Collinsworth has been in the Kentucky lineup. He hasn't scored. Incidentally, Cabanis with 11 points has more points than the high man had last year against Kentucky when Georgia scored only 40 points. That was Morris Dinwiddie, who had 10 points. Georgia has not yet returned to the playing court. We're at halftime at the Armory in Louisville. Kentucky 75, Georgia 32. The Bulldogs, incidentally, have Gleaton with 4 personals, Dinwiddie with 3, Bell with 3, and they have only 3 substitutes. Ray Allen's committed 1, Henry Cabanis 1, and Elliot Hester 1. For Kentucky, Bob Burrow has committed 3, and then there is 1 each on Calvert, Bird, Ross, Beck, Hatton, Cassidy, and Brewer. We wanted to tell you, but didn't get the time, when Ross came into the lineup for Kentucky. He had a big scoring night of the season against DePaul at Lexington when he got 4 points. In that game, Kentucky won by just 2 points. Ed Beck's big scoring night was against Mississippi State at the Coliseum when he scored 6. And we wanted to check on one other, Bill Cassidy, who had his big scoring night in Lexington with Georgia Tech when he got 10. He's the number 7 man in scoring. Cassidy has an average of 2.8 a game, total of 50 points. In the first half of play, Phil Johnson was also in the game for Kentucky but did not score. John Krigler, Ray Mills, and Bill Smith are the only 3 of 14 Wildcats who have not been in the lineup for Kentucky that are on the bench. Well, we are still waiting for the return of the Bulldogs. They are not back yet. There's an interesting situation in the Big Ten tonight. Iowa has already defeated Northwestern 86-68, and Minnesota is in front of Illinois 49-46 at halftime. Iowa and Illinois tied for the Big Ten conference, and that game, well, it'll be settled perhaps Saturday night at Iowa City when the Hawkeyes entertain the Illini. Of course, the Southeastern Conference representative will be out in Iowa City this third weekend in March, the 16th and 17th, and the Big Ten representative will also be there. Kentucky's entire 14-man bench is on the floor taking warm-up shots, waiting the return to the court of the Bulldogs. Kentucky, incidentally, will be back in action for its last game of the regular season Saturday night at the Coliseum when they play the University of Tennessee. Kentucky and Tennessee over these same stations at 7:45 Central Standard Time Saturday night. Well, before we sign off the air, we hope to have a score out of Auburn between the Commodores of Vanderbilt and the Plainsmen of Auburn. That's a game that Vanderbilt has got to win to ensure itself of a second-place finish with Kentucky. We have fine on that Big Ten score, too. Minnesota and Illinois. Try and find the final on that for you when that game finishes. Ed Calais of WAVE here in Louisville, keeping a lookout for those finals. We know you're interested to see how they come out. Of course, Tennessee and Alabama are locked up tonight down in Tuscaloosa, and we might be able to pick one of those up for you. At halftime at the Armory here in Louisville, it's Kentucky 75, Georgia 32, and one of the biggest scoring first halves ever seen by a University of Kentucky basketball team. Kentucky in the first half hit 11 free throws, and they missed 8, 11 out of 19. Georgia, meanwhile, was able to hit 6 free throws, and they missed 8. So Georgia hit 6 for 14. They committed 13 personal fouls, the same number of personals as they had field goals. Kentucky committed 10 personal fouls, or 3 less than Georgia. Of course, Kentucky's shooting percentage of 57-1 is a pretty fine first-half shooting percentage. Georgia, of course, is a team that has been down on its luck this season. They've won only 3 out of 21 games. They defeated Mercer 74-71 in the second game of the season, and then the Bulldogs lost a string of them before on January 30th they defeated Florida by 20 points. And they came back to defeat Mercer on February 8th, 91-79, after a loss to Vanderbilt between the Florida win and the Mercer win, and those have been their only 3 wins of the season. So in 21 games, Georgia has been able to beat only Florida once and Mercer twice, and they are right now coming back on the floor for the start of the second half. A crowd of about 6,000 here in the Armory tonight. In just a moment, we'll have an indication from Coach Adolph Rupp as to who will be coming in to start the second half for the Wildcats. And Coach Red Lawson of the University of Georgia should, in just a moment, let it be known who will get out to start for the Bulldogs. We might come back with the same 5 for Kentucky that finished the first half of play, although very few times will Adolph Rupp ever start a second half with anyone other than his starting 5. Regardless of what the score may be, the warning horn has sounded, and Bill Ray Cassidy, is checking back into the lineup. This boy has several names. He's known from his high school playing days when he led Inez to the state championship as Billy Ray. It's been shortened to Bill by many, and, well, to all his teammates, he's called nothing but Hoppy. Cassidy is coming back in to start the second half with Harold Ross at a guard. Ed Beck will be at the pivot, and Phil Grawemeyer will handle the forward along with Phil Johnson. Curtis Gleaton with 4 personals is coming back into the Georgia lineup, perhaps to play a forward, and their leading scorer, Henry Cabanis, will be back in the center position. Ray Allen, Morris Dinwiddie, and Don Hartsfield round out the lineup. Cabanis at 6'5" is ready to jump against Ed Beck, who's 6'7", and as we wait for the jump, let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky. The time is 9:29.
Second half underway as Allen gets the tap, and Fried cut to Dinwiddie and back to Hartsfield, back to Dinwiddie. He sets from 30 feet, breaks to the left on Grawemeyer, and hooks a high one that's too high. Cabanis rebounds, flips it out on the right side, and Allen pumps her up. No good, it's short. Grawemeyer rebounds, hooks a beautiful pass to Ross, breaking down the left side, over to Johnson, wide open, he lays it in. Phil Johnson gets his first point of the game, and Kentucky leads 77-32. This could be the highest scoring night for a Kentucky team. Their biggest scoring night in history, 116 points. Now here's Hartsfield for Georgia down in the left corner, closely guarded by Harold Ross. Grawemeyer comes through there, and a foul is called on him as he stabs at the ball and hit him across the arms. It's the first foul on Phil Grawemeyer of Kentucky. 6-foot Don Hartsfield is on the free throw line for one shot. Hartsfield, a left-hander, shoots and hits. So he'll draw the bonus shot. 77-33 the score now as the southpaw stands in and fires short. Grawemeyer taps across the way to Cassidy, who triggers the 4-3 fast break. Cassidy moves down the left side, lays her in good. Cassidy drives in to pick up his 3rd field goal of the game. Incidentally, we got a flock of left-handers in there now. Grawemeyer and Cassidy of Kentucky are both southpaws, and Hartsfield of Georgia. Here is Gleaton of the Bulldogs with the ball, gives out, and Hartsfield breaking to the left, takes a jump shot that's good. His 3rd field goal of the game, and it's Kentucky 79, Georgia 35. We've played 1 minute and 10 seconds of the second half. Cassidy feeds to Beck, breaks by, gets a return pass. He's open, the shot from the left side, no good. Tapped by Beck, no good. Beck rebounds, but loses it to Gleaton of Georgia, who gives to Dinwiddie. Up the way to Hartsfield, moving in front court now for Georgia. Outside to Dinwiddie. He sets, ducks his head, cuts to the right, and walks with it. Pulled up the pivot foot. Grawemeyer out of bounds. Rips that southpaw pass to Johnson. Pulls up in the free throw line. Has the ball knocked right out of his hands and out of bounds by Hartsfield of Georgia. Goes out to Kentucky on the right side of the offensive court. Ross, a Hickman sophomore, feeds her into Cassidy, moving to his left, faking to Johnson, then giving to him. Johnson moves out with it to the free throw line. Gives to Cassidy, who moves into the baseline. Dinwiddie bumps him. Cassidy shoots short. The rebound is taken off by Georgia's Ray Allen. Over to Dinwiddie, up in front court to Hartsfield. Whipped into the pivot to Gleaton, who spins away from Johnson and takes a jump shot that's good. Second field goal for Curtis Gleaton. Kentucky leads 79-37. Grawemeyer gives outside to Ross, moving to the left. He breaks, goes up, lays it short. Beck taps it in. Beck gets his third field goal of the night to equal his best previous scoring night. Kentucky leads 81-37. Only 2.5 minutes have gone by in the second half. The jump shot, good by Georgia's Henry Cabanis as he hit the floor on his back. Johnson in front court drives and misses, and a foul is called. It's against Georgia's Henry Cabanis, his second personal foul. 17 minutes, 14 seconds. For two shots, Phil Johnson of Kentucky, his first appearance at the free throw line. Ross and Cassidy are backed up pretty deep in safety. Johnson's first shot's good. His third point of the game. 17 minutes, 14 seconds to play here at Louisville. Johnson on the line for his second shot. It's good. Kentucky leads 83-39. Dinwiddie back in front court for Georgia, moving to the right, takes a 20-foot jump shot that's no good. Grawemeyer rebounds for Kentucky, pulls up, whips to Cassidy. He's got it 3-on-1 off the left of Johnson. He's open, lays it up, good. Phil Johnson gets his sixth point of this half, and it is 85-39. Here's Hartsfield feeding, and a beautiful play by Johnson, who took it away from him, out breaking, gets to Grawemeyer, who loses it on the floor, and he's tied up. Grawemeyer will jump with Ray Allen, and he has 6 inches height advantage on the Georgia free throw line. Johnson made a diving catch of that incoming pass to the Georgia pivot. Allen tapped the ball going up on Grawemeyer, and it goes out of bounds to Kentucky. Cassidy out of bounds feeds into Ross, who moves up past the 10-second stripe. Fakes and gives down the left to Johnson, back to Ross. Cassidy goes through. Ross feeds Grawemeyer, fakes a shot, a one-bounce dribble, and back to Ross. Out of the left corner, he hit it. Ross gets his second field goal of the game and equals his best previous night. Georgia attacks as Kentucky leads 87-39. Here's Gleaton, one-hander, good. Gleaton's third field goal of the night. 87-41, Kentucky leads. Grawemeyer on the left side moves in on Gleaton, who turns his back to him. Grawemeyer hooks to Beck in the pivot. Georgia collapses the defense, and he passes it out to Ross. To Johnson on the left side, who moves out and gives to Grawemeyer. Back to Johnson, goes under the basket, hooks it up short, but he's fouled by Ray Allen. Second foul on Allen. Phil Johnson back at the Kentucky free throw line. 2 coming. Here's the first try by Johnson, good. Johnson now has 7 points. Got another shot coming. If he hits it, he'll equal his season's high of 8 points, which he got against Alabama. He misses it, gets the rebound. One bounce dribble and back to Ross. 20-foot jump shot, it's no good. Dinwiddie rebounds for Georgia, drops it, holds on. Grawemeyer goes to him, but Dinwiddie protects it. Turns, moves up in front court, feeds Hartsfield deep into the right. Breaks into the keyhole. Johnson picks up. He shoots. Johnson blocks. Grawemeyer rebounds. Moves out of there with it. 3-on-3. Up to Ross. Breaking in from the left. He missed it. Cassidy tapped it in. Cassidy gets his 4th field goal of the night. Kentucky leads 90-41. We go with the 15.5 minutes to play. Dinwiddie down the right side for Georgia. 15-foot jump shot from the left. No good. Grawemeyer hooks in the rebound. Out to Cassidy. Kentucky keeps up the fast break attack. Cassidy pulls up, gives to Grawemeyer, and a 30-footer. It's good. Grawemeyer's third field goal, and Kentucky leads 92-41. Back is Dinwiddie for Georgia. Handing to Curtis Gleaton out deep, over to Dinwiddie. Back to Gleaton, 3 out, 2 in, double pivot, a high and a low one. Here's Dinwiddie setting, faking, and breaking off the right side. Gets by Johnson, pumps up a 10-footer that's no good, too high on the boards. Gleaton rebounds, moves to the right, takes a jump shot, turning around that's no good. Wide open is Allen for the rebound, who lays it up, no good. Grawemeyer has it knocked away by Gleaton, and Kentucky's got it. Grawemeyer whips to Cassidy. Breaks in front court, goes to the free throw line, pulls up, flips to Beck, outside to Cassidy, off the left to Grawemeyer, takes the jump shot, it's short. Rebounding Gleaton of Georgia, knocked away by Grawemeyer, and the Bulldogs keep possession at the baseline in back court. Incoming passes to Hartsfield, who moves up past the dividing line, fakes to the pivot, gives over to Dinwiddie, fakes to the right, and then moves in that direction. Comes off the screen high from Gleaton, and Johnson picks him up. He feeds out to Hartsfield, dancing a jig. He comes in there. Grawemeyer took it away from him, but fouled him. Second foul on Grawemeyer. The most points Kentucky ever scored, 116 against Ole Miss. Hartsfield is on the Georgia free throw line, shooting one. He got it. Bonus shot. Being awarded the 6-foot Georgia substitute, Don Hartsfield. 14 minutes and 18 seconds to play as he shoots good. The score now stands Kentucky 92, Georgia 43. Cassidy in front court on the left side to Johnson, who breaks to the left, pulls up for a 10-footer that's good. Phil Johnson has just picked up his 9th point of the game, more points than he scored in any game this season, breaking his record of 8 scored against Alabama Saturday. Here's Hartsfield for Georgia as Kentucky leads 94-43 and 14 minutes to go. Beck picks one up, and he's fouled immediately by Cabanis of Georgia. Third one on Cabanis. The most field goals Kentucky ever scored in a game, 45. Right now they have 40. Ed Beck is on the Kentucky free throw line for one shot. He got it and draws the bonus shot. Beck has now scored more points than he scored in any single game this season, 8, as he drops in the bonus shot. Ray Mills comes off the Kentucky bench as Kentucky leads 96-43. Here's Hartsfield in front court, comes off Cassidy, who tried to block him out deep and failed. A bounce pass to Allen, who juggled it and walked with it, and Kentucky gets it off the side of the back court. Johnson out whips to Cassidy. The southpaw moves up in front court to the top rim of the circle, feeds Johnson on the left side, back out front to Cassidy, who sets it up. Bounce pass to Johnson, back to Cassidy. Ross goes through. Cassidy feeds Grawemeyer. Fakes, breaks by Gleaton, lays it in. Good. Foul on the play. The goal is good. Gleaton of Georgia has just fouled out of the game. If that foul is on Gleaton, let's check and see. Here's Ed Beck and Phil Johnson coming out of the Kentucky lineup. Abe Collinsworth is coming in to replace Harold Ross now. The foul is on Gleaton, and he is fouled out of the game with 13 minutes and 31 seconds to play. He has scored a total of 6 points on 3 field goals, 2 of them in this half, and he's missed his only free throw try. Georgia now has only one substitute left, as checking in Billy Hearn for the first time in the game, a 19-year-old sophomore from Eatonton, Georgia. He's 6'3", weighs 185. At this moment, Elliot Hester is the only man on the Georgia bench eligible to play. Grawemeyer has just been awarded the field goal for his 8th point and 1 free throw, which is good, to put the score Kentucky 99, Georgia 43. We have Ray Mills playing in the pivot along with John Krigler, who's in now for the first time. Abe Collinsworth, Bill Cassidy, and Phil Grawemeyer round out the Kentucky lineup. Dinwiddie of Georgia out to the right, cutting and breaking through there. He takes a 10-foot jump shot that's in and out. Tapped down by Grawemeyer as he can't hold on to it. It's out of bounds to Georgia. Putting it in play will be Henry Cabanis. There are 13 minutes to go. He gives in the left corner to Hartsfield with Collinsworth on him. Pulls it up over his head and feeds out. And here is a quick jump shot by Hearn. No good. The rebound dropped, slapped, and Hartsfield gets it for Georgia. Hooks one underhanded to Allen. Grawemeyer stabs and misses, and Allen jumps, shoots short. Mills drops it out of bounds. Cabanis of Georgia will put it in play again. Slaps the ball. Passes in the left corner to Hartsfield, who missed it. Grawemeyer rebounds, and he's fouled from the rear by Billy Hearn of Georgia, his first one. Ray Mills is the oldest of the Cats at 22. He's a junior from Manchester, graduated and played his high school basketball at Clay County. Stands 6'4", weighs 185. Number 6 in scoring with 70 points, an average of 3.5 a game. His big night was against Temple when he scored 12 points. Here's Grawemeyer at the free throw line, converting his 10th point of the game. Bonus shot coming as Kentucky now has 100 points. Grawemeyer gets the bonus shot. Kentucky leads 101-43. Dinwiddie in front court for Georgia. Cuts to the right, gets away from Collinsworth. Krigler cuts him off, and he feeds out front to Hearn. A one-bounce dribble and over to Allen. Tries a shot that Gromar slaps right straight up in the air, and Collinsworth takes, feeds to Mills, to Krigler in front court on the left side. Back to Mills, who breaks, hooks it in. Mills gets his first field goal, and Kentucky leads 103-43. Here's Bill Smith, the 14th Wildcat to come into the game, waiting to check in as Cabanis hits a 15-foot jump shot for the Bulldogs. His 5th field goal and 15th point. 103-45. Here's Collinsworth in front court for Kentucky. Down the left side to Krigler, who moves out and gives to Cassidy. For a one-bounce dribble, he hands to Collinsworth, moving back outside to set it up, moving to the right. Gromar moves in. Collinsworth feeds him. Gromar hooks and hits. Gromar gets his 13th point, and it's Kentucky 105, Kentucky 45, or Georgia 45, Kentucky 105. Here's Hearn handing off to Hartsfield, who's cut off by Krigler, who knocks the ball up in the air, picked up by Cabanis, who hooks short. Gromar rebounds. He's got a 4-on-1 break. Mills gives to Cassidy, who lays it in. Cassidy now has 10 points, the most he's scored in any game this season. Kentucky 107, Georgia 45. Up in front court's Dinwiddie. Fakes and comes to the right. Jump shot over Krigler. It is no good. Gromar rebounds, is tripped as he comes off of there with it, and Collinsworth races in to get it. Jump ball has been called. Gromar holding his knees now as he's coming out of the game, replaced by Bill Smith. Nice hand for Gromar before his hometown folks. Smith, a 20-year-old sophomore from Walton, Kentucky, graduated at Walton, Verona. Here's Georgia's Cabanis getting the tap, moving to his left, and a fall-away jump shot's good. Cabanis is the big guy with 6 field goals for Georgia. Kentucky holds on to a lead now of 107-47. Big 60-point lead up there. Here's Smith feeding to Mills, a right-handed hooks, in and out. Smith taps up the rebound, and Krigler shoots it good. Krigler gets his first field goal of the game. Collinsworth and Smith are the only 2 cats who haven't scored, as 12 of them have contributed to this deluge of 109 points. Kentucky needs only 7 more to equal its all-time high. Cabanis of Georgia on the free throw line high pivot. Whips under there to Hartsfield, who went to his knees and couldn't get it down quickly enough to prevent walking being called against him. Collinsworth feeds to Cassidy. Moves up in front court, down the left to Krigler. One bounce dribble and back to Cassidy on a screen. Cassidy shoots a 30-footer. Good. Cassidy has just scored his 12th point. His season's high for a single game. Kentucky 111, Georgia 47. 116 is the high that Kentucky's shooting at here tonight. They'll break their season's high of 45 field goals set against Ole Miss in 1952. Breaking to the right is Dinwiddie of Georgia, and fouled by Bill Cassidy of Kentucky. It is the second foul on Cassidy. 9 minutes and 57 seconds to play as Morris Dinwiddie, a Kentucky boy, goes to the Georgia free throw line, where he's hit 1 out of 3. Dinwiddie sinks it and draws the bonus shot. Dinwiddie's bonus shot's good. Kentucky now leads 111-49 as Collinsworth rapidly comes into front court to the top rim of the circle, gives to Cassidy, breaks to the left, floats it up and in. Beautiful play. Bill Cassidy has just registered his 7th field goal to make it 113-49 for the Wildcats of Kentucky. Dinwiddie in front court. Hooks one down the left side to Ray Allen, who breaks under the basket on Bill Smith and comes out the other side without a shot. Here's a pass hooked away from Allen and out of bounds into the Kentucky cheerleaders. Cassidy feeds to Collinsworth, hooks it to Mills under the basket. He takes a jump shot, good. Mills' 2nd field goal, and Kentucky leads 115-49. The next Kentucky field goal sets a record. The most points ever scored by the University of Kentucky in a single game. Cabanis of Georgia, a left-handed hook, no good. Smith rebounds for Kentucky, and Cabanis fouls him. That's the 4th foul on Cabanis. No, wait a minute. Smith has been called for the foul. His first one of the game. 9 minutes and 8 seconds to play, and Cabanis of Georgia will be doing the shooting. Well, Illinois pulled it out in the second half and defeated Minnesota 97-71. Final score just in as Cabanis misses. Collinsworth gets the rebound for Kentucky. Iowa and Illinois both won tonight. Here's Collinsworth to Krigler on the right side for Kentucky. Out to Cassidy. He sets a 25-footer. Good. So Bill Cassidy breaks the record. 117 points for Kentucky, the most they've ever scored in a basketball game. This is a Southeastern Conference record, too. Here's a foul on Ray Mills as he tries to stop a shot by Cabanis. First foul on Mills. Well, we could stay with you till midnight delving through these record books looking for records. We know this record right here stands 117 points. It breaks the record set against Ole Miss at Owensboro in 1952. Here's Cabanis shooting, missing to the right, and Mills rebounds. Feeds it out to Cassidy, and it's 3-on-2. Cassidy to the left with Dinwiddie on him, turns around. Jump shot, no good. Tapped by Collinsworth, no good. Rebounded by Hearn of Georgia. 8.5 minutes to play. Up in front court is Dinwiddie of Georgia. Outside pass goes to Hartsfield. Breaks to the right and gives to Hearn. Pulls up on the top rim of the circle. Pass goes over to Hartsfield. Breaks to the left. Quick jump shot. No good. Nice rebound by Smith. Over to Collinsworth. Up the way. His pass intended. Knocked down by Hartsfield. Collinsworth quickly covers up on him and fouls him. Going up on his back. It's the first one on Abe Collinsworth. Another final score. Holy Cross 103. Connecticut 81. Presbyterian 117. Thurman 115. Cabanis comes out of the Georgia lineup, and George Bell is back in. Toledo defeated Ohio tonight, 77-67. At the half, Tulsa leads Bradley, 25-23, and Oklahoma City leads Houston, 43-26. Halftime scores. Here's Hartsfield of Georgia hitting. Draws the bonus shot. Kentucky 117, Georgia 50. Kentucky had 75 points in the first half. Bonus shot, no good. Rebound and shot no good by Bell, who gets it again and lays it in for his third field goal of the game. Here's one intended for Mills, smacked away from him. And Georgia's got the ball. Kentucky has just set a conference field goal record of 49. The old record was 45. They have 49 field goals right now as they lead 117-52. Here's a shot no good by Bell out of the left corner. Krigler rebounds. Florida has... Wait a minute, we got a surprise for you as soon as we get a spot here. Cassidy drives, misses. Mills taps, no good. Now they fight for the ball on the floor and a jump, and here is the surprise. Auburn has upset Vanderbilt by 9 points. Auburn 74, Vanderbilt 75. So Kentucky is in second place by themselves, and the playoff game will not be needed if Kentucky beats Tennessee. Jump shot by Mills, no good. Smith lays in the rebound. Now, 13 Wildcats have scored 119 points with 7 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Florida has defeated Georgia Tech tonight, 66-46. Here's Collinsworth, or Krigler rather, saving too late, and it's out of bounds to Georgia on the right side of their offensive court. Dinwiddie into Hartsfield. Feeding the pivot, and a hook shot up from the right side is no good by Hester. Mills gets it off, feeds Cassidy, breaking down the middle of the front court. Free throw line, pulls up, takes a 15-foot jump shot short. Out for the rebound, he gets it. Tries a pass to Mills, it's knocked down by Hartsfield and taken by Hester of Georgia.